Hello students, welcome again in Science and Technology Part 1, Standard 10th, and the topic is Periodic Classification of Elements. Dear students, in the first part we have seen some introductory part, classification of elements, Doberan's law of triads and his classification, Newland's law of octaves and his classification, and some limitations of Newland's law of octaves. Now, students, in the second part, we are going to discuss about some Mendeleev's periodic table and its having merits and demerits. So, let us start having information and some of the introduction to scientist Dmitry Mendeleev and about it. Dmitry Mendeleev was a professor in the St. Petersburg University. He made separate card for every known element, showing its atomic mass and properties. He arranged the cards in accordance with the atomic masses and properties of the elements, which resulted in the invention of the periodic table of elements. It is known as Mendeleev's periodic table. Let us see we getting more information about Mendeleev's periodic table. Mendeleev developed the periodic table of elements during the period of 1867 to 1872. His periodic table was the important step in the classification of elements. For classification, he used the atomic mass as a fundamental unit. He arranged the elements in an increasing order of the atomic masses. At that time, all known 63 elements were transformed into a specific tabular form by using their physical and chemical properties, and that table is known as a Mendeleev's periodic table. These properties are hydrides and oxides of elements, melting points, boiling points, and densities of the elements. These points are or the properties are considered for the classification of the elements by Mendeleev. Mendeleev found that the elements having same physical and chemical properties are repeating after some interval. Means when he arranged the elements in an increasing order of their atomic mass, he found that some of the properties of elements are repeated while they are put forth by next step. Means the properties goes on repetition, and he found that these properties are repeated again and again after some interval. He made vertical columns called as a group and horizontal rows called as a period to arrange the elements in a table, for which is the basic idea for classification of elements and concrete framework for classification of elements. After arranging elements in an increasing order of their atomic mass in tabular form, he found that some of the properties are going repeated, and from that he states one law, and the statement was properties of elements are periodic function of their atomic mass. The meaning of law is that when elements are arranged in an increasing order of their atomic mass, there is a repetition of the properties of the elements is seen, and that law is known as a Mendeleev's periodic law. The word periodic means occurring frequently, and that is why the law was put forth by the scientist Mendeleev and his classification. Students, here we are seeing Mendeleev's periodic table put forth by him. Here we are seeing some merits of Mendeleev's periodic table. Mendeleev's work for the classification was very well and good at that time because there was no any other classification is best at that time. So Mendeleev's periodic table was the framework and the concrete work for the classification of elements, and at that time it is widely accepted. But it is having some merits and demerits also. So let us see first the merits of Mendeleev's periodic table. Student, in board question, merits of Mendeleev's periodic table and demerits are frequently asked, so you have to keep attention and you have to read that part carefully. So let us we are seeing merits of Mendeleev's periodic table. First, atomic masses of some elements were revised so as to give them proper place in the periodic table in accordance with their properties. For example, the previously determined atomic mass of the beryllium 14.09 was changed to the correct, it is 9.4, and beryllium placed before boron. So revision, that is the revision of the element and its atomic mass, was done by checking it by experimentally, and the places of the elements were changed some frequently. Second, Mendeleev kept some vacant places in the periodic table for the elements not discovered till then. Three of these are Eka boron, Eka aluminum, and Eka silicon. From the known neighboring, and their atomic masses were indicated as 44, 68, and 72 respectively. Not only the vacant places are kept and its atomic mass was predicted, but some of the properties of that elements also predicted. Later on, these elements were discovered and name is changed as the scandium, gallium, and germanium respectively. Means Eka boron is later on named as a scandium, Eka aluminum later on changed as a gallium, and Eka silicon later on changed as a germanium. Properties matched with predicted one. When Mendeleev kept some vacant places with properties, after that these properties of scandium, gallium, and germanium are matched very well. Third merit of Mendeleev's periodic table is that there was no place reserved for noble gases in original periodic table. When the Mendeleev's periodic table was put forth, at that time the noble gases were not known. But later on it is made available without disturbing original table, making as a zero group for the noble gases. Though the classification is very well at that time, demerits of Mendeleev's periodic table is also seen. First is that the whole number atomic mass of the elements cobalt and nickel is the same. Therefore, there was an ambiguity regarding their sequences in Mendeleev's periodic table. Isotopes were discovered long time after Mendeleev put forth periodic table. As isotopes have the same chemical properties but different atomic masses, so there was controversy while placing the isotopes. Third demerit of Mendeleev's periodic table: when elements are arranged in an increasing order of their atomic masses, the rise in atomic mass does not occur uniformly. It was not possible to predict how many elements could be discovered between two heavy metals. So there was no guarantee to place one of the later on discovered element in between two elements. So that was one demerit of the Mendeleev's periodic table. Hydrogen shows similarity with halogen, that is group 7. It is difficult to decide to correct position of hydrogen, whether it is in the group of alkali group metal or in the group of halogen. So these are the some of the demerits of Mendeleev's periodic table. Dear students, we have seen the second part of periodic classification of elements, and from that we have studied Mendeleev's periodic classification of elements, Mendeleev's periodic table, his merits and demerits of periodic table, and lots of about it. Hope you will be understand very well. Thank you very much.